Okay, all right. So to start with, the step definition files, you have WebDriver at the top, then you have WebDriver manager singleton browser manager at the top. This is the class which you have to create as a singleton class. This is the class which you have to use in whenever you need a driver in this framework. So you're going to create the object of it, like browser manager dot, then WebDriver manager singleton dot get instance, and then get WebDriver is what the method which you're going to call, and that will return your driver. I'll explain this in a while. Moving forward, we have a setup method where I'm passing a scenario. The scenario object is present in the Cucumber API. It's an interface, and you see an annotation called as @before. So this @before, don't confuse it with that stng @before or JUnit @before. It's actually @before annotation is a hook provided to you by Cucumber itself. If you go and see an import, this is before is provided to you by Cucumber. So don't import JUnit before here, as it will start giving you errors. Not as expected. Right. This S or this SCN is what we're going to use for passing the or writing the logs inside the Cucumber reporter, Cucumber HTML reporter. And if you see, there are a few more annotations which I have copied from console window. So when I enter product in top search box, here it's showing new Cucumber API pending section. That means I have to write my code here. Okay, so let's start writing. This is the page. Now this page navigation is already done as a part of different previous steps whose step definitions are already written. That is already there. Next, what I will do is I have to create a page object file. Why? Because we are not in this framework, we are not writing the page objects in the same step definitions, because that's against the framework principles. We should be segregating page object model and with our tests. In some way, the step definitions are your test steps, so you shouldn't be mingling your page objects inside these step definitions. So I'm here making use of page object model. Inside this page object model, I'm going to create a class which would present my home page, which I think I've already created here, but I think it's in the wrong package. So let me move it. All right, so sorry, there was some mistake in the package structure. Here I corrected them. So inside this e-commerce, we have PO and step definitions now. And the PO section, I have created this PO underscore homepage file. And as a typical page object model file works, I have created a WebDriver driver at the top. Then I have created this parameterized constructor. Then two elements, or rather two elements and their corresponding methods I have written here. First is as simple as the search box, text box. Second is the submit button. These are its properties. I am assuming that you know this much, where this is the text box and this is the button which we have here. And these should be marked as private because I don't want these to be exposed anywhere. So I'm making them private. And these methods are public, which the methods which are used for accessing these elements, I mark them as public. That search box and click the submit button. And these are its methods: set search box and click the submit button. These methods will be used for accessing these, or accessing as well as performing operations on these elements. Apart from this home page, instead of home page, I should name it as, I should refactor it, and I would like to rename it as menu or header elements. Finish. Why? Because the search box will be available on all the pages, irrespective of search page or cart page or payment gateway page. Everywhere you will see this header information. So this menu and this particular search box will be available everywhere. So I don't want to mark it as a home page. I want to give it the name as video header. And later on, when we scale this project, all these menu items, all the objects which is about this menu item should go inside PO underscore header page. Or for that matter, you can also go and create your own separate page object file for the menu. Uh, Moving forward, what you have to do is, so now I have set search box, and as well as I have clicked search submit button. I'll go back to my step definitions, which is here. And here I would like to start writing my code like this. So I enter product in top search box. So what I'll do is I'll write PO underscore, which is header, is equal to page factory dot init elements. And here I would like to write driver, right, and here driver class. Giving error, I should import it. Is this file, this package, PO header dot set search box. And here I enter product in top search box, right? So now I need to decide which text box or which element to search that I'm passing from this feature file. And here I enter product in top search box, but the problem is which product. So I would have to parameterize it. Why? Because I need to pass this computer, and this will in turn will be sent to here in this definition. It will come back here. So I would like to parameterize it. So what I'll do is, instead of writing product, I will write this product here. Okay, and I will give it a name as product, like this. And instead of this here, I would go and write a string, and here I will write string product name. I'll pass it here, and that's it. So I parameterize this. I put a regular expression here, and this is how you pass the parameter from feature file into the step definitions corresponding to the feature step. So I'll explain it again. This is the product. By the way, this is outline, so I need to do this as well. Like, this is one of the way by which you can pass it. There can be a different form of regular expressions by which you can pass, but the concept remains the same. The name has to be the name of the header. So if this is the product, I need to pass it like this, product. Then you have these double quotes here, indicative of this parameter. And I'll go inside this file and I parameterize it like this here. So if that particular text will be matched to this string, and this particular text or particular string will be passed on to here, will be captured here as a parameter in this definition. Same is true with, same you have to do with here. So I will write it dot set search box, then click search box. And in this case, I don't need any argument to be sent because it doesn't need it. Let me go here. It doesn't need an argument. Go back. Right, but this is being repeated again and again. So I'll just move it here and keep it at the top. So this also need not be here. All right. Okay, sorry for the interruption. So WebDriver, WebDriver manager, singleton, browser manager, right? Here we have only declared it. For us to be able to use them, we need to initialize it as well. So what we will do is, we will initialize it right here. We'll write as WebDriver singleton dot get instance of WebDriver, and this browser manager, and let me put it down. Then here this should be equal to browser manager dot get driver. This will give you the WebDriver. This will be initialized. This page vector will be initialized, and then this is the declaration. This is what we are doing, initializing here, right? So in this particular test case, what I've done is I've written the steps here. Uh, I got this information, this snippet from dry running the code, and it has created the signature for this step definitions, and then I have parameterized it, and I'm passing this string value from here. This value which is being sent from the feature file. Feature file is this. This is how I'm sending the value. So first, a computer will be sent. It will come here. It will be fetched. I'm sorry. It will go to not this way. Okay. It will come here in this format. It will be passed on to this. Now here, let me also write some lines from scn, right? So I'll write scn dot write product entered in the search box. I'll enter the product name, which is product name, like this. And here also I'll go and write. Why I'm doing this? Because I don't do this, there is not much impact, because in the report of the Cucumber, it always tells, it actually writes, these steps there. So it's pretty explanatory. No need to write and mention this. It's just a way of, if you want to send some extra information into that report, you can make use of this scn.write. It also has few more methods uh, to manage the scenario and execution. So it has few more things here: get ID, get lines, get name, get source, tag names, all those things. For now, we will just leave it. By the way, it can also be used for embedding, uh, you know, some images and all. But for now, let it be. I'll enhance the framework later on for images to be part of those Cucumber reports. For now, we don't need this. So this is clicked on search button. Then page navigates to the product search results. So usually in the when you keep uh, what you are doing in the given, basically you keep the prerequisites, that is opening of the browser and navigation. That's a prerequisites that I've defined in the steps underscore common. In the next lines, which is at the rate when annotations, this is at the rate given and end. This is the part of given, and these two lines part of given. This is the prerequisites. In the when is something what you do as a part of a test step. So these are the two steps which I am doing. These are my actions in the test case. Then these three lines, what you write after then, are usually the end results or checkpoints or validations or the application response to the steps which you have done earlier. So then is page navigates to product search results, and the product results are displayed, and eventually this is the cleanup activity, which is, and then close the browser. So let's try to implement these three. So first is your page navigates to product search results. So how would you validate the project page has been navigated? As simple as that. We can make use of the page title itself. So if you have searched something, let's say I go and search it, computer, the page title will change, and page title is coming as search results. So I can just put that assertion here. Assert dot assert equals, so this assertion I'm using from JUnit and not from TestNG. So here string expected is equal to what is expectation for us? It's search results. I should be ideally copying it from the head section so that to avoid any mistake in writing it down. Now, if you see these lines actually represent that this method has been deprecated. That means they are trying to discourage us from using it. If they are deprecating something, they're of course adding something new. So for assertion perspective, JUnit framework wants us to use something new, which I am yet to see what it is. But right now, this would still work. So deprecation doesn't mean it won't work. Deprecation means that you are discouraged from using it. And right now, for the sake of this session, I'm going to keep it as it is. Actual, will get it from driver dot get title like this, and I'm going to validate it here. And here, perhaps I'll write the log as well. Right, soliciting the page title. So remember, this is scn dot write is not any check. It's just a kind of you're trying to report something to the logger, to the Cucumber result set. Scn dot write. So page navigation is validated now. Next is product results are displayed. Now here is the catch. How will you validate which product? For example, you have searched for computer and you click on it. The computers are being displayed. But if you see, not only computers but mobiles are also getting displayed here. In some cases, printers are also getting displayed. So this is clearly a defect in the application. Now the problem is how would you go and validate, because images you can't read. Okay, so there can be multiple approaches. How you will go and validate. So perhaps you can fetch, the model number and the company name from here and kind of judge that if it's Asus, HP, Asus, HP, and Apple, and based on these numbers, CP6230 model number of these devices, you can somehow create your own logic to find out whether they are, this product belongs to a computer or a mobile. So in this case, for example, Casio, Prism, I mean, you can put a checkpoint that if something of Casio of the or some product which is named as Casio is being displayed, you can mark it as a failure. That computer is not being searched. So this kind of logic is what you have to develop. In this case, I find it really difficult to identify what kind of logic we should be putting. But it's clearly a defect because we search for computer and it's giving us these products. So when it comes to the question that explain what are the recent defect which you have faced in your project, this is what you can explain, that I identified a defect where we were searching for computer or something in the search box and you were getting some different products not belonging to computer category, let's say. So let's search for mobile. In the mobile section, I think it is also displaying the camera. So again, an example of the defect. How we are going to validate that? It's something tricky. We need to determine a logic, and it really depends on application to application on what kind of products is being searched. In this case, what I can think of right now at the moment is we'll go and click on this view and we just fetch all this information from here and perhaps all this code. Okay, and we'll try to validate whether what code belongs to what specific device or kind of what category. And this kind of information usually we get to know from the dev team or from the database, because database holds all the information about all the categories of products. From there we can do some validation. For now, I'm going to skip this validation. All validation which I'm going to do is just to check whether the page has been navigated to the search and the search results are displayed here. Search results are displayed here. So validate that. Perhaps I'll go and inspect and validate and see if this particular ID is there, which is div ID products underscore search 11. If it is displayed, that would uh, indicative of that search has been done. That is, it has searched something. Okay, so I'm only going to validate this much. Okay, now in order to validate this, I would again have to create another page object file, which is, so go and create a page object file, and I'll give it a name as search. Click on OK. Search, and inside this, I'm going to write this ID, and here I'll remove this line. I'll say or simply validate search results like this. Here, container search products, because that is what this object is all about. This is the container of all the products. So if this is displayed, I would kind of conclude that the search has been performed. So I'll write this here and click on dot is displayed, and I'll kind of do an assert on this. Assert equals, if this is displayed in the actual section, expected is true. And that's it. And now inside here, I'll again go and create this page factory instantiation. Here it would be called as po underscore search. I'm giving it this object the same name that I will identify it quickly. And here I will have to go and import it. Okay, wrong name. Oh, okay. PO search, go e-commerce, PO start, and let's remove this line, perhaps we don't need it. So now PO search is what I can use here inside product results display, PO search dot validate search results, and that be it. So there are two ways by which you can do validation. So I can also create a validation methods like this, so you don't have to write code like this here. So you can keep it somewhere, perhaps in the same PO header location, and put the code there and make a method of this, or you can also put it here. So it's up to you. In this case, I have written this code, validation code, directly in the step definition file. In this case, I have moved this validation into the PO search, and I called the method directly. Here I will just write scn dot write validating the search results, or I should say search results is successful, because if assert after the session is done, it will come here. If session fails, it will not come here. So based on that assumption, which is valid assumption, I'll write validating. So here I'll write validating the search results. That's it. Here I'll write validation of the search results is successful. Okay. Validation, here also write the validation of of the page title is successful. Validation of the page is successful. Okay, right. So this is the complete test. So this is how you're going to create the test. I'll just try to summarize it quickly. What you will do is, first of all, you have to go in the resources, create a feature file for yourself. Okay, in the feature file, start writing the code here. parameterize it, whatever you wish to parameterize. You can take help of existing feature files. So in this case, I'm using scenario, simple scenario, a simple parameterization. Here I am doing the parameterization with the scenario outline. So I'm passing these values from here. And that's why I'm keeping it. So this is the username. I'm giving the same name here. In this case, I'm only using admin. So sorry, I'm only using a simple parameter. In this case, I'm also using the outline feature of it. So I'm putting this symbol here. Once you do this, you need to go to your test runner file, and here you need to mention the feature file. It should be complete package. Sorry, the folder name where the feature files are kept, as well as you have to glue it. So for glue purpose, you always has to have this file BDD Cucumber step definitions location. Why? Because that's where I have kept the common steps. Common steps are basically 3 as of now: navigation, launching of the browser, as well as closing. These are common steps which are going to be used across this framework. Then I'll go back in the test runner. So in the glue section, that's why you will mention. And apart from that, uh, since let's say you're going to create a new step definitions file, that means you don't have anything else here. Okay, so only thing you have is this one. The moment you create a new feature file which has no step definitions, this is should be your starting point. So you mention the class path name here, and you mention the glue here. So step definitions is what is present here. Then you need to go to dry run and mark it as true. So as soon as you mark it as true, this means you don't want to wishes to run it. Basically, you wishes to you're kind of forcing Cucumber to generate the step definitions methods for you. As soon as you run it, by right clicking on it and clicking on run as JUnit, it will generate the definitions for you, step definitions for you. In the console, you copy it and create the step definitions in the appropriate folder. So since you're working on e-commerce, that's where you have to create your step definitions, and it should also be properly segregated. So as of now, since this is a test case was about from home page, I wanted to search something, so I've kept it here. Let's say you want to do something else, you want to go to my account and do some sign up activity, then you have to put your step definitions in a different file. You can make use of the same, but I would recommend that you make a new step definitions for logical segregation of your application. In this case, I have only one feature file, so I have kept everything here. Now, there is a specific template which you need to have in this steps definition files, which is these 3 things. To the these object, which is browser manager and driver object, and this SCN. This is something which you need to have in all of your feature files, and these 3 objects, as well as this before hook. So this setup also is what you need to have to make use of this SCN, like mechanism. And then you can paste all your code snippets from that console window and paste it here, and you can start writing your code. So again, when I say start writing your code should be properly managed inside page object model files, and from there you should be making calls the way I did it here. This should not have these step definitions should not at any cost should not have any locators information. Everything has to be inside these methods. Okay, now let's run it because that's what I have not displayed so far. So for running it, I have to mark it as false because it's not the dry run. And since I have already created this step definitions, I should be gluing it with my particular feature file. So this is what I need, but I also need another. Why I need the BGD Cucumber common step definitions? Because my 3 common steps, which is launching, closing, as well as navigating, are mentioned here. And here I'm going to write the step definitions for the recent Java file which I created, which is BGD common. This is e-commerce. Let me copy it if I mistake. So that's what I need. Step definitions, and here I will mark it as this symbol. Okay. Now tags is also you can use. So tags basically means what kind of test case which you wish to run. For example, if you wish to run CS this scenario, so this is what you're going to pass here. But if I want to run this test case, I'll only mark it like this. And let's try to run it. These are setting where you, I mean, these are locations where it will go and save your extend report, sorry, extend report and Cucumber report. So let me just run it first. Run it, let's see if it works or not. So it has, since dry run is marked as false, it will start executing the test. So basically, the first step was open the browser, the navigation of the browser. It will have started that it has triggered the associated method written here. So first line is as user when I launch application. Like this is mentioned in a step definition in the common package. So it has triggered it. Let's see the subsequent steps also gets executed. Has been navigated. Now it should search for the product, which is computer, which I have mentioned in the feature file. Right, so computer has been searched. Now it should click on the symbol. Now it has also done that. Now it is navigating. It will check the page title. I think by now it should have, and that's it. And last statement was close the browser, so it has closed the browser. Now the first statement, first scenario has been successfully executed. Now it is running the same scenario again, but with different data, which was first it ran for computer. Now it will run the same test for mobile, and that is how I'm passing it from here. There was just one last thing. Meanwhile, it runs. So you see this line, which is WebDriver Manager Singleton, being written in all the step definition files. Right, these two lines are written everywhere. So it is giving, in a first look, it is giving a it's giving an understanding that we are creating driver browser or a new Chrome driver again for each steps, but it's not the case. It's being passed on. Since this WebDriver Manager is a singleton class, whenever it's being used, or whenever the object of this is being created, it will always return the previous instances. So no matter from which class, I mean, in this Cucumber framework, the pointer, the control of the driver is getting shifted. So perhaps in the one class file, in a one method, a driver is created. Okay. Now the another test method, another step definition, another method is present in different step definition file. So in the top of that file, I have mentioned, I've written this line again. Okay. So this means when this line execute, this means it will check for the existing WebDriver. If the existing WebDriver is already there, it's not null, it will go and return the same WebDriver again. If it is kind of marked as closed, because in each scenario we are closing it, if it is marked as closed, it will recreate it. So these three lines, these two lines and this line and this section has to be on any step definition file which you're going to create, at least while using this framework. So in this framework, if you go and use it and want to scale this for creating new test cases, in each step definition files, the rule is you need to write this at the top of it. All right. So I am going to create more feature files here, which is like my way of telling that these feature files are not yet implemented. So for example, I'll go and create a feature file for this sign up or my account, or perhaps for this menu structure, or perhaps for this add to cart. I'll try to do that. And the step definitions for these is something which you have to create. So I'll do half the work of creation of these feature files. At least 3 or 4 feature files I would go and create, and your job would be to generate its step definition files and automate them. If you have any doubt, you can reach out to me. You can write on the group. You can send me an email. I'll try to help you out.